Other questions? Yes, sir.
What was your major obstacle when you were working your business, and what was the solution?
What was the biggest problem?
Yeah, the obstacles, and what was the solution?
I didn't understand the question.
When you were working your business, what was the major hindrance to job, and what solution you had?
Oh, so just give an example of what a major hindrance was
Yeah.
in the job and what's the solution. Wow, that's a great question. Well, you can divide it into a couple different areas, right? There's the people problems that you have, and then there's the technical business problems you have. And it turns out that most of the problems are all people-related problems. When I went for my MBA, I spent my specialty, or that minor, was in organizational management, and I really loved that course. It was at Simon, taught by Jensen, and what it did, the title was The Rules of the Game. However you set up the compensation rules of the game for your employees or company will have a huge impact on how people behave. Because people, you have to assume, are smart, they understand how to game the system, so you just have to make sure you understand what incentives you're putting in front of them, whether it's a sales commission program, a bonus program, how people get promoted, and all those issues. So one of the biggest problems we had starting up a telephone company back in the late 90s, there were 300 companies out there starting up, and everyone said they were going to get 10% market share. Well, 300 times 10% market share doesn't mean everyone's going to get 10% market share. So it was all about customer acquisition. So the struggle we had was how to set up a compensation program that would incent people to not just get the business, but then stay with the company for the long term. So we put together a great commission program with a residual tail. And over the course of 12 years of PAETEC, we never lost one of our top sales performers ever in the company competition. We lost a couple to retirement and a couple changed, sort of, they wanted to become a football coach instead of staying in sales. But that to me is typically the kind of thing you worry about. It's how do you solve performance-based problems with your competitions. But we can talk for hours. What else? Yes?
I read that you put people first. I was wondering what led you to this philosophy and why you use it in business.
Why do we put people first? Why is that a philosophy of ours? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, what were your major influences? What led you to that?
What maybe was a major influence in wanting to put people first? Well, look, I think that it's been something we were raised that way in our family. I think the mentors and the coaches that you have as you're growing up in high school and college and early days of work, they influence you a lot. Your peers influence you, your professors do. Everyone helps. You learn from everyone that way. And some of it's a little bit common sense. When you think about why do people work hard for you? And why are they successful? And why do they treat the customer nicer, treat each other nicer, treat the vendor nicer? And ultimately it comes down to, people want to feel like they're part of something important that they can influence their business, and they feel like they're a part owner. So if you don't feel like an owner of your organization, and you can really change things, then you're going to be not as engaged, right? So what are some of the ways you can make people feel like an owner? And putting people first is just another way of saying that. Some of the things we've done in our past lives at PAETEC, at Sweetwater, other places, is you actually give them ownership, just like an owner. Via stock options, restricted stock units, something so everyone has a piece of the company. Or you establish a profit sharing program. So whatever the profits are of the business, you're also going to, I think I should get more profits than you if you're a junior engineer and I'm the CEO, but I shouldn't get 3,000 times as much bonus as you. To me, that's what we used to call at PAETEC sort of the fairness ratio. I think I'm more valuable than the receptionist, but, am I more valuable than 500 employees? No, and you see too many companies around the world, actually paying the CEOs and the managers some ridiculous number. We can all live off 5 million. We don't need 50 million as a CEO, especially for a lot of these companies that the CEOs never started a company and never invested their own money. They just were hired as a professional manager. Some of that stuff gets out of whack in my mind. So compensation is a big way to put people first and make people feel that it's fair. A second way is Do you communicate? Do you tell people what's going on? If you're an owner, you kind of know what's going on in the business. And if you're not an owner, you're the last to sort of understand something. So we would do Friday calls and monthly calls and newsletters and visit people in the field so that all the employees that work with you really understand what's going on in the business. When you're public, you can't share everything with them because you're a public company, you have some restrictions on it. But when you're small, you can absolutely do that. So sharing, in the value creation, sharing information are all important. And, it starts from there. But I think if you go back and look at the most successful companies, just in this region, look at Wegmans, what they're doing. I mean, their whole philosophy about putting their employees first. If you walk into their supermarket right now, and you see, if you go back to the one section where the cash registers are, they have all their little sort of posters about internal employees and stuff, and you'll see like all these phrases, like their mottos and their mission statements, and virtually everyone has their people, their employees in those phrases. They get it. I mean, it's not because Danny Wegman is, the nicest guy. He's a very nice man, but he's very smart, right? Because you're going to make more money if you treat your people better and they treat the customer better. So if you're a greedy capitalist, don't let people know that. Just treat your employees better and you make more money. And so people understand that. I'm still amazed sometimes some companies don't get it, that you're supposed to treat people well. Right? All right, so you guys are getting quiet. It's like after lunch, you're getting nap time, so it's getting crazy here. What do you need?
Thank you. And I was wondering what motivated you from moving from telecommunications to energy?
What motivated me from moving from telecom to energy? I've been working with MIT for about 6 or 7 years on environmental research and renewable energy research, and our family foundation has been involved in a lot of activities there. So we funded probably 30 grad students and postdocs in 12 different projects, and we saw what the results were, and a lot of those projects turned into startup companies and government grant monies, and now a lot of these guys are off on their own. So very quickly it went from being more philanthropic to all of a sudden I got 60 business plans coming at me from Boston, and we ended up funding 3. Because even though there's really smart people in Boston and really great ideas, not all of them can scale, and they have the right advisors and the right model. So you sort of have to pick your targets, what you want to do. And we were lucky enough at PAETEC that my wife and I said, well, what are we going to do next? And I said, I'm happy to spend time 5 days a week at home with you and do things. And she went, time out, dude. Right? You got to get out and do things. We'll get divorced if you stay at home. Right? She gave me 2 weeks to get a job after PAETEC started, right after PAETEC was just bought. So, December 1, we closed last year. December 15th, I started at Sweetwater. I made my 2-week deadline for my wife. But to me, it was about, not that I don't think telecom is important for people, but if there's another one of 10 companies in town that will sell you internet service, I mean, whatever. I mean, we really wanted to do something that we thought could help the planet, sustainability, make our kids and our future grandkids hopefully proud of what we try to be. Because it's going to be tough for this one. It's going to be a crash landing on the environment in the next couple hundred years. And whether it's a soft crash landing or a really harsh one is going to be determined by all the stuff we do in the next 50 years. And I couldn't think of a better place to spend our time. And it doesn't mean it's better than anyone else's, doesn't mean anything else isn't important. We need all kinds of different companies and positions and jobs out there, but we were just lucky enough to get that. So that's what we did.